We are live on my Twitter account if you want to retweet them to your followers. Like the video just went live. And what you want to retweet, Uni, is this. That's us talking right there. Okay. So go search the magnifying glass on the bottom.
Yeah.
And then click Jerry Miller now. There I am right there. And then that one, yeah.
Retweet.
Yeah. And your followers will see it. Next Tuesday, we'll get this squared away so we can go directly to yours and remove the lockbox.
Yeah.
All right, viewers and listeners, we'll rock and roll on the show here in a matter of moments. We got to talk basketball. 14 and 1 poll, ladies and gentlemen. 15 in the coaches poll. 14 in the AP poll. Virginia basketball is red hot. I mean, goodness gracious, this team is 16-2 and 5-1 in ACC play. And frankly, the Virginia Tech game, you can make a very convincing argument they should have won that game. I mean, there was some suspect refereeing, and I know suspect refereeing ain't worth much. But still, you're looking at one of the best teams in the country, and in the most recently released bracketology, UVA was a 4 seed in the NCAA tournament. Talk about that on the program today. I encourage you, the viewer and listener, to chime in with discussion and ask questions. If there's a topic that you think we should discuss, put them in the feed. We'll relay them live on air. We have a lot of fantastic viewers and listeners that are extremely intelligent. For example, Renee Pettiford. Renee, I hope you're watching the program, Renee Pettiford. We very much enjoy your commentary, your questions, your topics as it pertains to Virginia basketball. Renee, you are one of the most loyal and established and significant UVA basketball fans we know, and we appreciate you. Judah Wickhauer is behind the camera. We'll talk transfer portal football as well. The Virginia football team, ladies and gentlemen, has got 2 starting quarterbacks on its roster with Power 5 football experience, and it's going after some of the top portal talent out there. So we're going to have some fun on the program. Like and share the show. Judah, you feeling pretty good?
Yeah.
Fantastic, Judah. We live on YouTube? I believe we are, but a lot of the Jerry and Jerry fans watch on YouTube. Oh, fantastic. And I'll confirm LinkedIn here in a matter of moments. We are live. Excellent work, J-Dubs. All right, my friend, we can rock and roll when you're ready. Quiet on the set. Good Tuesday morning, guys. My name is Jerry Miller, and thank you kindly for joining us on the Jerry and Jerry Show. It's a pleasure to connect with you guys through the I Love CVille network on a show that spotlights Virginia Sports Hall of Famer Jerry Ratcliffe, the namesake of JerryRatcliffe.com. Where I sit right now is less than 2 miles from the John Paul Jones Arena and less than 2 miles away from Scott Stadium, less than 2 miles away from the grounds of Thomas Jefferson's University. And goodness, this Virginia athletic department has had so much success of late. Virginia basketball is carrying the momentum, continuing the momentum of a football season that had a Gator Bowl championship, a football season that very much enthralled and engaged all of us that bleed orange and blue. Ryan Odom's club is 14 in 1 poll, the AP poll, and 15 in the coaches poll. Ryan Odom's program has the North Carolina Tar Heels, the top 25 club, visiting the John Paul Jones Arena on Saturday at 2 o'clock. We're going to take a look at that UNC contest while reflecting on what was an impressive week of performance for Virginia. Victories over Louisville and SMU, 2 very good clubs, and the national pollsters certainly took notice. Before we welcome Hootie Ratcliffe to the program, we will salute and give props to Judah Wickhauer, who's behind the camera. He's the director and producer of our show. He keeps us online, keeps us looking sharp, which is no easy task, so thank you, Judah Wickhauer. If we can go to the studio camera and welcome our star, Jerry Ratcliffe, on a chilly Tuesday morning where Hootie Ratcliffe... one thing I know about you is you like the sun, you like some golf, you like some warm weather. I don't know if you looked at the forecast for this weekend. The low on one of the days was legitimately 1 degree, and they have a snow prediction that is now It's forecasting the snow. We know is about a Major League Baseball player who hits 300. If you do that in forecasting the snow, you keep your job, just like a professional baseball player. But 24 inches of snow is called for this weekend.
Oh, that's not my cup of tea.
No, sir.
Once upon a time, maybe, but not anymore.
I'm with you, Hootie.
I might contemplate moving to Florida.
You've been contemplating that for a little while, man.
I have been.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing quite well. We have victories over SMU and Louisville to get to, a transfer portal where Virginia football is red hot, but we start every show with scatter shooting with Hootie Ratcliffe.
Yeah, I'm just amazed at what he's been able to do with. We've talked about it several times on the show over the past several weeks, but I think some of the national people have finally caught on. What an incredible job Ryan Odom and his staff have done in putting this roster together, and not just putting it together, but making it work like they'd been playing together for a couple of years. It's unbelievable that none of these guys even knew each other until the summertime, and had never played together, and particularly under. Playing pickup ball in the summer against each other is nothing like playing live competition of people, really good opponents who want to beat your brains in, and here we are, the number 14 team in the country. Sitting right near the top of the ACC, just behind Duke and Clemson, who haven't lost an ACC game. And I agree with you. I don't think Virginia should have lost that game in Blacksburg. It's as bad as that's probably the worst half. Certainly one of the worst halves of basketball they've ever played was the first half of that game. And they dug themselves such a hole it was tough to come out of, but they did stretch it to 3 overtimes. But they could easily be unbeaten in the conference right now.
Jerry Ratcliffe, the star of this show and the namesake of JerryRatcliffe.com, is open to your questions and comments, like this one right here from Randy Clark, who is lamenting the chilly weather here in Charlottesville. He said, "That's why I moved to Arizona. I'm here right now in Arizona. It's no snow in Arizona." That's what Randy Clark says. We can't say we're jealous. Maybe a little bit.
It does get cold in Arizona, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Comments continue to come in. We'll talk Chance Mallory. We'll talk Dalen Hall, who's gotten some props of. There was a statistic that was floating around one of the UVA men's basketball Facebook groups of the significance of Hall, the point guard. The trio, the statistic that was floating around there was lineups. Which lineups are performing at the best clip, and and it was tied to 3 players on the floor at the same time. Virginia in the Atlantic Coast Conference had either 3 or 4 trios ranked in the top 10 of the Atlantic Coast Conference. All of them were anchored by Hall.
Yeah.
The average or the layman fan sees a guy who maybe struggles with a jump shot. That is not much of a scoring threat, but folks that know basketball understand defense and what he did to Boopy against SMU.
Yeah.
What he does distributing the basketball, his assist to turnover ratio, frankly, his leadership. He strikes me as the leader of this team.
I think he is, and that's why they call him Captain America. He's a very modest kid. He's a team first guy. And this is one thing that fans and even some sports writers don't understand. And was a very prominent writer in the state. He's no longer working, but he never could understand why Tony Bennett started Jack Salt all those years. And I said, it's not about your scoring production. If you're a coach, there are certain things that certain guys do that have to be done. And only that person can do it the way you want it done. And Jack Salt was a key in that mover blocker and setting screens and getting rebounds and playing some rim protection. But mostly the screens he was so incredible at that. And that offense would not have worked without a guy who could do that. And there's cases like that on every team, and it's not just basketball; it's anything. But excuse me, but Dallin Hall. I mean, you look at his game at SMU. Like you said, he was part of the defense that shut down Boopie Miller. He dished out 9 assists. Yeah, he went 0 for 8 from the field, and he's a streaky shooter. But he's a calming presence with his team because he's been around. He knows how to keep guys from panicking and holding the team together under some stressful moments. And he's a leader, and not just on the floor, but I'm sure in practice and in the locker room, away from basketball. And it's vital for successful teams to have guys like that who know their role and are really good at it. And he is just that. Is Virginia a more efficient team offensively or maybe even defensively with Chase at starting at point guard, or Chance rather? Yeah, they probably are. But Chance also plays a key, important role in coming off the bench and providing a lot of energy on both ends of the floor when he does come in. And these guys know the roles. They've accepted the roles, and they carry out those roles really well. And Ryan, that's one of the reasons Virginia is doing so well, is these guys know their roles.
Hall, guys, is he's really he's like a fine wine. You appreciate it the longer the fine wine is around, and Mr. Hall is not the offensive threat that a Mallory is. 6 points a game, 37% from the field, and 31% from downtown. But how about this statistic for you, viewers and listeners? He's got a 4-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio.
Yeah.
4-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio. This guy takes care of the ball. And when you have a starting lineup that has a DeRitter inside and a Thomas at the 2, your point guard doesn't have to be the scorer. He needs to get the ball to a DeRitter and a Thomas in the easiest way, in the most efficient spot possible, so they can facilitate some offense for themselves or somebody else. And he is absolutely doing this. I want to highlight Hall, and we should immediately segue into the SMU game. His defense in that contest. I mean, it was stifling, Hootie.
Yeah. He's an old school point guard who's more interested in distributing the ball, running the offense, handling the ball, not turning it over, playing good defense. And, yeah, I mean, Boopie Miller was shut down. He was 4 of 12, 0 for 3 from the three-point line. He got a third of his points from the foul line. And he had just come off games of 24 points against Virginia Tech, 27 against North Carolina, 23 against Clemson. And Hall was part of that defense. Hall was also part of the defense that shut down a Corey from Stanford, who's I think he's averaging over 21 points a game. And he was 5 of 20 against Virginia, 0 of 6 from the arc, and 14 points. He was coming off games of 36 against North Carolina, 31 against Virginia Tech, and 28 against Louisville. So when you have guards who can take away the strength of the other team, it's invaluable.
Kevin Yancey watching the program in Waynesboro. Kevin Yancey says, "Good morning, Triple J." Jeremy Wilson is watching the show in Eastern Tennessee. He says Jack Salt was an immovable object. Renee Pettiford. Renee, are you watching is it Charlotte, North Carolina you watch?
I think she's in Durham.
In Durham, Renee Pettiford? We love when you watch the program, Renee. She says Chance Mallory is the prince and Hall looks just like Justin Timberlake. Renee, I love your comments, Renee. I sincerely appreciate your loyalty and your you do a heck of a job sharing content on Facebook about the Virginia men's basketball team. I often find the content that you share on the Facebook group, forget which one it is, very engaging, Renee. I sincerely mean that.
She's a true Virginia fan.
She's
that's
diehard
for sure.
Virginia basketball.
Yeah.
As big a Virginia basketball fan as anyone that's out there. What else did you see in the SMU contest? How about DeRitter down the stretch late in the game? Was it 6 for 6 at the free throw line?
Yeah, and I mean he took over in at the crucial point of the game, and gosh, I'm looking here with 2:49 to go, Virginia was behind, 65-64, and DeRitter 19 seconds later hit a huge three from the top of the key, put Virginia up by 2. Boopy hit a free throw to draw them within 1. Then Chance hit the front end of a 1-and-1 and made the margin 2. Then Miller, Boopy tied it at 68 all with 1:31 to go. Then DeRitter again drove the lane, got fouled, hit 2 free throws, went up by 2, and then with only 10 seconds left, Virginia nursing a 2-point lead, he scored on was rebounded and was trying to stick the ball back in of a Hall missed 3, and got fouled and for a 1-and-1, and he hit them both 72-68, 10 seconds to go, and Boopy missed a 3 at the end. So DeRitter really took over that final 2.5 minutes of the game when it was crunch time, and that's something he's really good at doing.
100%. You saw in the SMU game the value of DeRitter's European and professional experience. Because going into the contest, in fact, right now, DeRitter is a sub 70% free throw shooter, 67 and change, DeRitter.
Yeah.
But when he was on the stripe at crunch time against the Mustangs, those free throws looked like they were released from an 85% free throw shooter. There was no doubt.
Exactly.
And he was not fazed. The opposing crowd did not bother him. I would imagine in his professional career in Europe, he's been in much more significantly antagonistic environments than he was in Dallas. And dude, this guy is a stud. 16 points a game, 6 rebounds a game, nearly 2 assists a game, nearly a steal a game. He connects on 54% of his field goal attempts. I mean, DeRitter is an absolute. How about DeRitter from downtown? Here's a great stat for you, Hootie. You ready for this one?
Yeah.
DeRitter is shooting 39% from bonus sphere.
It's pretty darn good.
I mean, this guy's fantastic for a Grizzly Bear.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they call him Tank for a reason. He's like a tank driving through downtown, whatever. He's been everything I thought he would be.
You said from day one that this guy was going to be special.
I thought he was going to be maybe the key to the whole season, and so far he's pretty much been it. So I think sometimes he gets so jacked up and that. Ryan said sometimes he has to set him down and let him kind of, breathe, catch his breath, and refocus because he's just so intense. You just have to take a little bit of the adrenaline out of him, I think, at times. But he's been incredible, and I think he and the rest of the team are just going to get better and better as the season goes along, and hopefully they'll peak at the right moment.
14 in the AP poll. They're ranking. Was it 15 in the coaches poll?
Mm-hmm.
They're ranking. They're a 4 seed in the most recently released bracketology. This team is the trajectory, as Hootie has said, is up because they are just now meshing together. There is no solidarity or past playing experience with this roster. So every day they step foot on court, on the practice court, they're figuring out each other's nuances and tendencies. They're only going to get better. Cliff Daisy on the Eastern Shore. Happy Tuesday, gentlemen. Greetings, gents.
Hi, Cliff.
What a great week to be a Who's fan. Between the basketball wins and the portal news with football, what a great week. Hope both of you guys are doing well. We will talk football here in a matter of moments. How about a segue into the Louisville game? What'd you make of the Louisville win?
That was huge as well. And, what was impressive about that stretch, we talked last week, I think you're the one that brought it up, that Virginia fans would probably be really happy to go 1-1 split because Louisville had lost one game at home, and SMU, I think, was unbeaten at home. And not easy places to win,
No.
for sure. I don't know. I've never been to SMU's arena, so I don't know what it's like. But I have been to Louisville a million times, and that place can get really raucous and intimidating. And for Virginia to go in there and stave off two really good basketball teams on their home floor was amazing. Ryan Odom said, and he was right when he said that any road win is gold, and it truly is. And he definitely struck some gold on that trip. It's hard to win on the road. I mean, and Virginia's been excellent on the road so far. Look at Carolina. They've lost 3 of the last 4 games, all on the road. At SMU, at Cal, at Stanford, 3 teams that Virginia beat. It's tough on the road. And Louisville, I know they were without Brown, but they had been without Brown for like 8 games, so it's not like that it was something new to them. And certainly they're a better team with him, but they had been winning without him. And
that's their point guard.
Yeah, and Virginia.
And he's talented.
He is. He's incredibly talented. But they still had been winning without him, and they were at home, and they felt like that they could bring Virginia down. And Virginia played really good basketball for almost the entire game.
Jeremy Ronica watching the program. He's a diehard Who's fan. He's got a nickname amongst orange and blue faithful of Jeremy Who. He says, I think the Wahoos could play their way into a 3 seed in the NCAA tournament. Right now, bracketology has UVA a 4 seed. I'm in agreement with Jeremy Who. I see a 3, fingers crossed, a 2 seed. I think this Virginia men's basketball team, fingers crossed, knock on wood, I'm literally knocking on wood here, is the second best team in the Atlantic Coast Conference. I think Duke is at least right now the clear-cut best team in the ACC. I think Duke has one of the bona fide best players in college basketball in the front court. The more talented of the Boozer twins. He's projected to be maybe the top pick in the NBA draft.
Yeah.
Duke is beating the brakes off of people. Their only loss was a 1-point loss to Texas Tech. Outside of that, they're just absolutely a dominant basketball team. But from Duke, I see Virginia in that 2 slot. I'm curious to see how you think the ACC shakes out, Hootie.
Yeah, I think Duke is the best team in the conference, and I think they're going to get better and better. They have some faults right now, but they're young, and I think by the end of the year they'll be clicking on all cylinders. But you look at the rest of Virginia's schedule; it's very negotiable. They play Carolina here on Saturday. And we got to bring up at some point the ceremony that they'll be having on Saturday. But then they go to Notre Dame and Boston College, who are both having not so great years. Then they host Pitt and Syracuse. Then they go to Florida State. Here's the big game that may have a bearing on that seeding you're talking about, is they play Ohio State on Valentine's Day in Nashville. Neutral court, non-conference game. I'm sure set up for TV. Then they go to Georgia Tech, who's struggling. Then they host Miami, who has been pretty mediocre. They host NC State. Then they go to Duke. That's going to be a tough one, February 28th. Then they host Wake Forest and Virginia Tech to close the regular season. So the way the conference is set up now, there's a lot of teams you only play once.
Yep.
And so you take your shot. You give them your best shot when you play them. But they can make a lot of hay, I think, on that schedule. With the two biggest challenges remaining, is I think are at Duke and the Ohio State game, which is not a conference game, but still
important
matters nationally.
Yeah. I mean, you look at this Virginia team; they only have 2 games remaining at this point, and we know top 25 rankings change. Only 2 games remaining against top 25 ranked teams. Saturday, North Carolina, 2 p.m. tip-off, John Paul Jones Arena. Court naming for Tony Bennett. I would imagine the John Paul Jones Arena is going to be packed early. It's going to be loud, and there's going to be a tremendous home court advantage here for Virginia and Ryan Odom as this program, this school, this alumni base, this fan base honors probably the greatest coach in Virginia sports history. Now, some folks may argue with me on that. But I'm going to say the most significant moment in Virginia sports history is Virginia basketball winning a national championship.
Yeah.
Whether he's the greatest coach in Virginia sports history. In fact, I should ask you that. There's no one better to answer that question than you.
Well,
is he the greatest coach in Virginia sports history?
It's
hard to compare different sports.
Yeah. I hate making comparisons, but people will argue Bruce Arena won 5
That
national
came to me immediately.
Won 5 national championships. Debbie Ryan, she didn't win a national title, but she had incredible success. Terry Holland, George Welsh. There's probably some others.
I mean, you can make an argument for Brian Boland, the current tennis coach.
Brian Boland, obviously. Won 5 national titles, I think.
We covered him. You had me covered him all at the Daily Progress. Boland was amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's been some amazing careers by people here over the years, but to win a national title in one of the major sports is unparalleled here, and hats off to Tony Bennett for doing that. And not only did he do that, but I used to write that Virginia was kind of lost in the college basketball wilderness for decades in between 95 and whenever Tony got here. It was 2000. What year I can't remember what year he came here, but he was here for 15 years. So, but in that span of time, Virginia basketball was non-existent. I mean, they didn't make the NCAA tournament but once, or twice, and lost in the first round of one of them and the second round in the other. Didn't win any ACC titles. Didn't make it to any ACC championship games. They were lost in the wilderness, and Tony Bennett came in and revived the program, breathed life into it, and took them back to national prominence. And I mean, what he did for Virginia basketball was incredible. And the fact that, I mean, you can't give him enough accolades for what he did.
Right, and maybe we're clearly putting a significance on one of the 2 top revenues, the 2 revenue sports, football and basketball.
Yeah,
and the significance of a national title. Yeah, we're Boland fans, we're Bruce Arena fans. in case they watch and listen to the program, the show airs in perpetuity wherever they get their podcasting content.
Oh, absolutely.
Brian Bolin at UVA, 16 years.
Oh, and Brian O'Connor.
Brian O'Connor, yep. Bolin, 453 and 58 in 16 years, 453 wins and 58 losses. 12 ACC titles and 4 national championships.
Yeah, and then the swimming coach has been amazing.
Yep.
Doing what he's done.
Your boy Bruce Arena, you mentioned Bruce Arena, 5 NCAA national championships.
In a short span.
89, 91, 92, 93, and 94. An overall record at UVA of 295, 58, and 32 ties.
Yeah, and then went on to be a pro coach and an Olympic coach.
And Team USA's coach.
Yeah.
Yeah, and produced, frankly, Bruce Arena and UVA, when I was coming up, was producing the soccer talent that was the type of soccer talent that impacted a generation or two of kids like me. The Tony Miolas of the world, the Ranias of the world, where we would watch them play in person, TV, and want to be soccer players.
Yeah.
But Bennett on Saturday, we'll get back to Saturday here, a court naming. Let me ask you this. Last time this has happened at UVA, sports-wise,
I don't think it's ever happened.
has it ever happened?
I don't think anybody's ever named
After a coach?
anything after a coach.
Right.
Except maybe a practice facility or something like that. Or named a street after George.
Right, George Welsh, yeah.
But I
Does
don't,
Ralph Sampson have anything?
No.
So, like, we're trying to understand the significance here of a court being named after Tony Bennett.
Yeah, it's huge.
Bruce Arena, Brian Bolin, Brian O'Connor,
Yeah, there's I don't, to my knowledge, it's never happened here ever, and so it's incredibly significant. And the fact that just North Carolina is going to be here Saturday is big enough to draw a sellout crowd, because Virginia Tech might be the modern day villain for Virginia fans, but North Carolina goes back.
My dad sees North Carolina
More
as
than a
UVA's
century.
biggest rival. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a 1972 grad at UVA, born in 1950. He says it's the South's oldest rivalry. He says North Carolina is the rival of UVA. Look at what the matchup with Virginia Tech is. It's nothing. It's UNC.
Yeah. I think most of the people up until Tech became
ACC.
in the ACC, or at least became prominent in a couple of sports. Up until then, it was North Carolina, and still for most of those people from those eras, it's still North Carolina, and it goes back forever, and so that's enough to get the Virginia fan base fired up in itself. But I think it's really smart that they're having the ceremony for Tony prior to the game instead of like at halftime or something. I think it's good to have it before the game and get the crowd fired up and ready.
Get them there early.
Yeah, and I think that's a good thing. I hope a lot of Tony's former players will be there, and I expect a lot of them will be.
Michael Guthrie watching the program. He says, thank you for recognizing Brian Bolin's impact on UVA tennis.
I was very close to Brian Bolin. He was a fun guy to hang out with.
He was awesome.
Yeah.
Brian Bolin, a lot of people don't know this. Brian Bolin and Brian, you know this, obviously. You know everything when it comes to this school. But Brian Bolin and Brian O'Connor started at the same time. Mm-hmm. They were neighbors in the Redfields neighborhood down Fifth Street Extended. Their houses basically backed up to each other.
Pretty much, yeah.
In the Redfields neighborhood. They adored each other, spoke very highly of each other. This is when I was working for him at the Daily Progress, goodness gracious, a generation ago. Time's flying. Mm-hmm. Literally, that was a generation ago.
Yep.
I was working with you at the newspaper. You sent me, I tell the story from time to time, for the Brian O'Connor initial press conference when he got hired. It was like me, I think it was the late Mike Colley and Jeff White in the press box that was the size of a shed.
Right.
It's literally the size of a shed. That's all who was there. Brian O'Connor at the time did not know anything about Virginia Tech or the ACC, really. I think he was like 32 years old. Brian Bolin goes to UVA as the tennis coach. He used to wear those like super flashy Oakley sunglasses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's like, he always had these sunglasses on. And then I started falling in love with those two programs before they became prominent. Bolin at one time had Tret Huey, who I still see from time to time at the Borsad, the lefty who played two, and the Indian Samdev Devarman, who is
Gutsy player.
who is now a musician.
Really?
He's retired from tennis and is now a guitar-playing musician.
I had no idea.
Samdev Devarman, who's got an Instagram account that has daily postings, almost daily postings of him strumming the guitar and singing songs.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
One of the gutsiest performances I've ever seen was when he won the singles title down in Athens, Georgia. I was covering that tournament and playing against the 6'9" guy from Georgia. I guess the number one ranked guy in the country.
That was John Isner, right?
Isner, yeah.
Yeah. One of the hardest serving guys in all of tennis history.
Yeah, and Samdev was like a backboard, human backboard, just knocking everything back at him and beat him.
And beat him. John Isner
unbelievable win.
Still hanging around. John Isner, now a tennis broadcaster. Mark Brown is watching the program. Mark, where are you watching the show? He says, I got tickets for Saturday. Me and my wife, a UVA alum, are coming. Do they ever Hootie cancel games? We're looking forward, but pray the weather holds off. Virginia fans, maybe if you're not tied to Charlottesville, my wife and I were looking over this. This is crazy to say here. My wife and I were looking at this last night. On Saturday, Hootie, it's insane. On Saturday, the low is 8 degrees, and the chance for precipitation on Saturday is 7 inches of snow. On Sunday, the Apple weather projections for precipitation, 21 inches of snow. 8 inches on Saturday, 21 on Sunday. You know this as well as I do. If we get 29 inches or anything even close to this, this town shuts down.
Yeah, but that won't be until Sunday.
Not till Sunday. Yeah.
So I don't. For 7 inches of snow, I don't think they would cancel the game as long as Carolina can get here, and they will fly in on Friday.
Yep.
So I don't foresee that. I mean, I certainly can't predict what the weather's going to do, but I mean, if we would get more than that, like a foot of snow or something, and if Carolina has difficulty getting here, all bets are off. But if it's 7 inches of snow, I don't think they would cancel the game. It might keep a lot of people from coming, but
Which would be disappointing.
it would be disappointing. But I don't think they would cancel the game under that circumstance.
Well, also,
I've been stranded in some places in Chapel Hill when we did get 24 inches of snow, so I can relate to that.
The positive of this forecast is that it's an anticipatory forecast so that they can prep and they're ready to go.
Yeah.
The times where Charlottesville and Albemarle County really get hammered is the surprise forecast that stuns or shocks VDOT or the prep crews. I would imagine that they're going to salt and prep the roads well in advance, which is helpful for this.
I would think so.
Comments are coming in faster than I can keep up. Kevin Yancey suggests that maybe the entire arena should be named after Tony Bennett instead of the court. I'll say the obvious and then pass it to you. The reason it's the John Paul Jones Arena is because of
Those naming
John
rights.
Tudor Jones. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And
Right.
for any building or any athletic facility, naming rights are costly, and Tony Bennett probably wouldn't let him do that anyway.
I don't think he would. Yeah.
He's such a modest guy, but and Paul Tudor Jones wouldn't let him name it after him either until John Castine said, well, how about naming it in honor of your father?
Yeah.
And that struck a vein, and he loved his father to death, who was a huge Virginia fan. I got to know him and interviewed him several times. And that was something dear to Paul Tudor Jones' heart, and then that's how that came about. So I don't ever foresee that name changing, at least not in the near future.
Not necessarily in the sports realm. I'll ask you anyway. You could choose to pass on the question or no comment. Paul Manning, $100 million donation, UVA Board of Visitors member, forced to resign by Abigail Spanberger prior to being sworn in. This happens this past Friday night. Paul Manning, the namesake of the Biotech Institute on Fontaine Avenue. Mm-hmm. Any comments at all you want to touch on that, or you want to pass on that?
I'll leave that up to you, because I stick with sports mostly. I don't try not to get involved too much in the other stuff, and so I don't know if I'm qualified.
Oh, you're qualified. But I understand that you want to stick with sports.
I would think you would be better at addressing that than I would be.
Well, I mean, it's just...
it's a shame.
It's a shame. That's the word there.
Because I'm sure he bleeds orange and blue.
Yeah,
and
give $100 million.
I mean, $100 million is...
He's the second most significant donor dollar-wise in UVA history.
I don't doubt that at all.
In all of Virginia UVA history, Paul Manning has donated the second most amount of money, and in nondescript fashion was pressured and forced to resign from the Board of Visitors.
Yeah, I don't agree with that.
Yeah, if anything, there's a conversation had with Mr. Manning to figure out, to let bygones be bygones and move forward, because you understand this is a man that's resourced and passionate about the university.
Yeah. I was always told not to bite the hand that feeds you.
Bingo. And you would think it's the obvious, but not a politics show. We'll move on here. North Carolina, UVA, your thoughts on this contest, top 25 matchup?
Should be a good game. North Carolina, Virginia brings out the best in North Carolina most of the time, even when Carolina is struggling. I remember a couple of games, Virginia had the better team, but Hubert Davis found ways to get his team fired up for Virginia and had specific game plans that went away from what Carolina traditionally would be doing, just to be able to handle Virginia and get some momentum going for his team. They turned one of their entire seasons around. I don't know if it was last year or 2 years ago, by upsetting Virginia, and it fueled them, I think, getting into the NCAA tournament when it looked like that wasn't going to happen. So Carolina's going to come in here with everything they've got, even though they have lost 3 of the last 4. They play somebody tomorrow night. I think maybe it's Notre Dame.
I'll let you know that.
But they're going to come in here fired up and looking to upset Virginia. That would be a quad 1 win for them, which they
have a lot of
desperately would like to have.
Virginia has a lot of quad 1
Yeah,
wins.
I think Virginia has 4 or 5.
Yeah, that's right.
Including Texas. But it should be a good game. I think Ryan and his guys are probably busy dissecting game film and trying to find the strengths of Carolina to try to take away those strengths, which this team has been pretty darn good at doing in stripping opponents of their strengths. And so the home court environment should help. And but I just think this Virginia team is playing so well right now and doing things that is necessary for Ryan's system to work, with the offensive rebounding, giving them second chance points, using the press to slow teams down, preventing them from getting into their offense early. shooting the three well, bigs protecting the rim well, having guys who can attack the basket. Everything seems to be going really well. They're not turning the ball over nearly as much. This team is rolling right now, and it would be a feather in their cap if they could knock off Carolina for sure.
Comments coming in quickly. Vanessa Parkhill's watching the program, the queen of Earlysville, Virginia. She says, please do not forget the UVA lacrosse program when talking championships.
Yep.
Coach Dom Starja should be on the short list of greatest UVA coaches. Absolutely.
Yeah, no question. No question.
Renee Pettiford confirms that she's a very good college basketball aficionado that North Carolina plays Notre Dame tomorrow night. I also confirmed that by looking on their schedule. They have the Fighting Irish at home tomorrow, 7 o'clock tip, ESPN2. Virginia's got a little bit of a layoff before its next contest, SMU, then North Carolina. You put anything into the layoff, or you like the layoff there?
I think it's okay considering they were on the road for a week, and I don't see much rust forming in between because I'm sure they've scheduled practices in a way that will keep them from slowing down. But they've been smart about that for the most part, and I think just the fact that Carolina's coming to town will get their attention, even though a lot of these guys aren't that familiar with Carolina and because they came from other leagues.
Yeah.
But still, they know North Carolina.
Yeah, North Carolina has a brand in college basketball, but to your point, outside of what? Chance? I mean, Chance is familiar with North Carolina growing up here. Maybe Elijah Gertrude.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, DeRitter and Grunlow.
They know. I know they circled Duke on their counter because they know Duke.
Everyone knows.
If they know Duke, they probably know North Carolina.
Okay,
too.
That's fair. That's fair. Comments continue to come in here. This one from Jim Moore 7725 on YouTube. I want to speak about basketball officiating this year. Does it seem to you guys that the officials will not let the game get in a flow most of the time? Is officiating worse for the league this year than ever? You want to touch on that at all?
I don't think it's nearly what it used to be. The ACC used to boast the best officials in the country for years and years and years, and I think it's declined over time. Some of the better guys have retired or moved to other leagues. I just see so much inconsistency, and I even see them missing calls, going to the review screen and still blowing the call. And so
I've never seen officiating so bad than I saw in the loss to Virginia Tech.
Yeah, that was pretty bad. And that was pretty bad. And it was probably, and I'm not saying that's unfair in terms of Virginia Tech, but I just thought the officiating left a lot to be desired. And there's just so much inconsistency, and I saw that over at the Greenbrier in those games against not just Virginia, but against Northwestern and Butler and South Carolina as well. But and I watch a fair amount on TV, and I just see so much inconsistency. And it used to be they would try to get all these officials who call games in different leagues on the same page. But I don't know. I can't explain it. Maybe there's just a whole lot of new guys that trying to improve and just haven't been around enough. I don't know, but I have noticed a decline in the quality of officiating over the last couple of years. So there's still a few really good officials out there, but not like it used to be.
Comments continue to come in. Renee Pettiford, who's on the ACC teleconference each week, she says, Miss Coach Odom said on the teleconference that Virginia basketball is off tomorrow. That's how diehard of a fan she is. She's on the telecom.
She's an insider.
Awesome,
That's for
Renee.
sure.
I love that. It's 11:07. We got to talk football here. Hootie Ratcliffe, transfer portal, Virginia football. Goodness gracious. This is crazy to say. At this point of the season, this year versus last year, I honestly think Virginia football is even more talented.
Yeah, they may be because
At this point of the season.
I mean, a lot of the guys that ended up making a difference at this point last year weren't even in the program, particularly in the secondary.
Right.
But again, it looks like they've done a really good job on paper of finding the right guys that fit their system, and they've brought in a few more guys from big time programs than they did a year ago, but they still haven't neglected to find guys from some of the mid majors and even smaller schools. But they've brought in guys from UCLA, Southern Cal. Gosh, I'd have to go through my list, and I don't have them all in front of me, but they brought in a lot of guys from big time programs, and they know what winning is about. And they seem to have checked all the boxes on what they need. I don't see any area that they didn't address that needed to be addressed. So I think you got to give them hats off again for doing a great job in the portal.
This comment comes from a diehard college football fan. He sent me a DM. He says, here's a crazy stat on Cignetti, the Indiana head coach, and I'm going to tie this in with the ACC and other football programs. Crazy stat here, he says, on Cignetti. His first 4 seasons as FBS coach, 46-6 overall with a national championship. At Indiana, he has a national title in 2 years on the job. Then he says this, Cignetti's turnaround of a bottom-feeding team has got to put a lot of coaches and programs on notice. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, you got to also note that Indiana apparently gave him everything that he needed to win, and he and his staff were smart enough to go out and find the right people. I mean, look at Mendoza. Where was he at Tulane? And then maybe somewhere else before he came in there for this 1 year. And 2-star quarterback originally. He ends up winning a Heisman and making an incredible play last night on 4th down to essentially win the game. But, Indiana has given him the money to go out and find the players he needs. And look at Texas Tech. They've spent incredible amount of money, and they've been in the playoffs for. Did they make it last year as well? I know they were under consideration. Can't remember if they made it or not, but they certainly were in it this year. And there's a couple of other examples of programs that have spent a lot of money in collecting talent. And we've seen what it did for Virginia overnight, taking a program that had won only 11 games in 3 years, and they win 11 games in 1 year in a turnaround, 1 year turnaround because of money, because of dedication and the generosity of some fans and supporters. And had Virginia not gotten that money, they might have been just another mediocre football team this past season. So there's got to be you got to have the support from your donor base now to be able to compete. Notre Dame didn't like to spend a lot of money, but I understand they've spent a lot of money this year in the portal, and so I expect that they're going to be a lot better next year. But it's the old ways, and unless something changes, if we keep going in the direction we're in, the old world doesn't exist anymore. And I think that's hurt the SEC because, as some coaches said, now we're on
even playing field.
Yeah, we're on an even playing field. They used to buy players. Now we can all buy players legally. And you can see that it's had an impact on the SEC the last couple of years.
And it's wild to say
and
this.
The Big Ten is spending tons of money.
Yeah.
So it's a new world, and if again, I hate to say this over and over again, but Joe Gibbs gave me his personal calling card back when I covered the Redskins, and he had a picture of a dinosaur on it with the slogan that said, "Adapt or die." And that's what we're seeing in college athletics. You adapt or you die.
It's wild to say this. The pay for play probably makes Virginia football a more significant threat.
If you're a Virginia fan, you got to love it because it gives you a fighting chance now.
Yeah, we got the alumni. I mean, if let's put it in perspective. Here's a microcosm. The newly elected governor ran off a $100 million donor to UVA because she's very well aware there's 2 or 3 dozen, maybe not at 100 million, but 2 or 3 dozen other donors waiting in the wings. That if she combined 2 or 3 of those 2 or 3 dozen, you'll get to that 100 million no problem. And that just shows you the deep pockets of Virginia football. The deep pockets of the Virginia alumni base, I should say. Closing thoughts, Jerry Hootie Ratcliffe.
Well, I don't know. It's been a fun year so far, and I think it's going to continue to be. This afternoon, I'll be going over to talk to Chris Pollard and some of the baseball team. They're having a little media get-together, and I think we're going to see big things from that program this year as well. And so if you're a Wahoo fan, you couldn't have it much better than this. Terrific football season, our program record 11 wins. Your basketball team is riding an incredible wave, and the spring sports are probably going to be as fantastic as usual. So unlike a year ago when the athletic program had one of its worst collective years in decades.
Bottom of the barrel.
It's a complete reversal. So a lot to look forward to, I think.
Amen. Amen. Jerry Ratcliffe, namesake of JerryRatcliffe.com. Jerry Ratcliffe of JerryRatcliffe.com. I check the website every single day. I follow him on Twitter. Anything UVA related, JerryRatcliffe.com, ladies and gentlemen, is where you want to visit. Judah Wickhauer is behind the camera. We have a second show, the I Love CVille show, in about an hour and change at 12:30. We appreciate you joining us, and thank you for the support. Tuesday morning, guys, in downtown Charlottesville. So long, everybody. Nicely done, Hoots.
Thank you, sir. Same